Today's practice is going to be centered around the archetype of the Fool in um, in the tarot deck. So this series, I'm going to be having a full length class, but I'm mostly offering a short 15 to 20-minute practice for those of you that might have a little bit of more of a time constraint. And so the Fool speaks to concepts of new beginnings, of trust, of having this enthusiasm, and certain innocence and optimism, and potential for adventure. And so the three postures that I've chosen today help to embody that. And there's going to be a self-reflection question that will also be in the description below that you can maybe write or reflect on that way. So you may want to have blocks. You may want a blanket and or a bolster as well. And if you don't have a traditional yoga bolster, you can get a nice big blanket, roll it up. You can grab a couple pillows from your bed. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to have a yoga bolster. So we'll start by finding your way into a supported child's pose. And for supported child's pose, bring the bolster or pillows back between your legs so it supports your belly. You kind of think about hugging it towards you and settling in here. And close your eyes and begin to notice your breath. And as you notice your breath, the question to consider is, what would it feel like to trust the ground beneath you before taking the next step? So what does it feel like to really lean into trust? Trusting that the foundation, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, that is beneath you is there to support you before taking action. And so as you settle in and as you tune into your breath, can you let your body become even heavier against the ground, against the bolster? And in this place of support, really leaning into trust. Notice where you might be holding on. If you're taking weight into the arms, seeing if you can relax there, softening any tension you might feel in the glutes. For those of you that might have knee stuff in this position, you can also take a blanket behind the knees. If you get the blanket really up behind the knees, it creates a little bit more space, and then you can again come into your bolster hug. We're going to stay and breathe here for about another minute. We'll take 3 more cycles of breath. And after that 3rd cycle, you can bring your hands back kind of the height of the shoulders and lift the torso up. Maybe you want to move the bolster out to the front and transition into a tabletop position. We don't want to rush right away into anything else. We want you to allow the sensations of letting the blood start to flow into the low body again. We're putting a compression point here at the groin and at the knees, so you may notice some tingling or a sense of warmth or cool spread through the legs as you allow for that unhindered blood flow to return. And then the next posture we'll set up and take is called broken toe. This can be quite an intense posture for many of us, but we're going to tuck the toes under. Knees are together, and you're going to sit back on your heel. Again, if you've got knee stuff, you can always, if it feels uncomfortably on the knees, you can tuck the mat up, give yourself some extra cushion here. You can keep the blanket behind the knees, tuck it up right behind the knees. Keep those toes tucked. You might use your fingertips to tuck the little toes under, and you're going to sit back and you're aiming to bring the shoulders on top of the hips, which are on top of the heels and on top of the toes. We're not going to be here a whole long time. Can be, again, a pretty intense posture, but I want you to start to breathe into this shape. And the self-reflection question is, where might a little discomfort be guiding you towards growth? All right. Full doesn't avoid sensations, it allows itself to feel the sensations. You can stay with the support if that's what you've chosen to take. I'm going to remove the blanket and come to sit on the heels fully, hands resting on the thighs. And again, where is maybe a little bit of that discomfort actually taking you in the direction of doing something new, different? And in that, coming towards a moment of growth. If you need to come out of this before I cue you to come out of it, maybe you don't release the toes all the way. Just take a little bit of the weight out. Come to stand on the knees. Keep the toes tucked under. You can give yourself a little breath and come back into it to join us for the last little bit of time here. And see if you can breathe slowly and steadily for another 30 seconds. And take one final breath in. And as you exhale, you can open the eyes, start to shift the weight forward, coming back into hands and knees, gently untucking the toes. Again, let that sensation rest there without the need to shift it or change it. And then you might do a little pat of the feet against the ground, bring some feeling back into the feet. Excellent. And now for the final posture in this three posture sequence for the Fool is going to be dangling posture. It's one of the more active yin postures. It's a standing forward fold essentially. You want to try to do it with as little effort as possible. So you might need blocks. I'll show you a few different versions. Come to standing, and you're going to lean forward. If you need the blocks, they're going to come right underneath the hands. Let the head release. If you have a lot of mobility, you can come into forearms on the blocks, or you can come into just grabbing opposite elbow with opposite hand and turn sideways, you can see. And then finally, the last variation would be to use the wall. Move this plant out of the way. But you can come into a short downward facing dog. Really tuck your head. Walk yourself towards the wall. You want the back of your head to meet the wall. Walk your feet in. You want to stay far enough away from the wall that you can lean against it. So the back is making contact here, and maybe grab elbows. All right, so any number of those variations. I'm going to come back onto my own feet here. And the self-reflection question is, if you let go of needing to be ready, what might unfold? All right, instead of that kind of vigilance and watchfulness, that idea of being ready, what if you just stopped being ready and gave permission to witness what unfolds for you naturally? If you need to put your hands on the ground, you're welcome to. Again, we're not going to be here especially long. Few more rounds of breath. One final breath here. And since we're upside down, technically, right, the head is below the heart. We want to be careful how we come out of it because it can cause some head rushing. So instead of standing up, bring your hands to the floor, bend your knees a lot, return your knees to the ground, coming back into a tabletop position. Maybe coming into a modified child's pose or a full child's pose. When you know that you are feeling stable and steady, you can transition to a seated posture. And in the effort of keeping this nice, short, and sweet for those of you who might not have the time, I'm going to finish and leave you here and seated, just connecting with those three questions for yourself, connecting with the archetype of the Fool. Again, new beginnings, potential, enthusiasm, awakening, trust, optimism, all of these qualities. And for those of you that have time and can do, maybe you set a timer for yourself for 5 to 10 minutes to just rest in that afterward, and set yourself up for a Shavasana position, maybe the bolster under the knees, maybe the blanket under the head, and just rest here until your gentle timer goes off. But for those of you who have to get going, it's been an honor to guide you through this 3 posture practice. I hope it finds a way to be a benefit to you. Thank you for tuning in, and like, subscribe, and follow for more classes. And you can also go over to my website, www.sanas.life. The light in me sees, honor, and reflects the light in you. Namaste.